Hey, what's up, everybody? We have a massive bullish engulfing candle that spiked off the low from the Federal Reserve, like we just talked about, man. We literally were just talking about this. The interest rates, right? So obviously it wasn't a big surprise, but certainly the pump came pretty fast. Now, what does this mean? Is it finished? I don't think so. So let's take a look here. First of all, you have a downward resistance line. You didn't really break it, but you did break that one. So you're kind of in this gray area here. We need follow through, right? We need follow through. I think, man, I'm kind of pissed off at myself, honestly, because I actually entered here off that wick. I like that. You could see right there. Look at this. It was a 6 hour. I think it was a 6 hour, or even the 4 hour. Right there, I entered, and yeah, so look at that candle, man. We had this base. We had this nice candle. So I entered in there, and then we pulled back. We back tested, which is okay. And then we did this crap, and I got stopped out. And then we came down, and then I was like, okay, it doesn't look like I don't have really a 5 wave look. I don't have the structure that I would like to see. And then, like, I went to sleep, and then it hit the low. And then as soon as I woke up, we were like right there. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Um, so I jumped back in, and then I just took my profit like right now. So this is just for trades, guys. This has nothing to do with investing, right? This has nothing to do with hodling. This is just in and out, in and out. But yeah, so we had the Fed speak, and the Fed said, yeah, we'll lower rates. So that's what they gave the impression that's going to happen. So that's why we got the spike. Now, today is Friday, so I wouldn't get too excited, you know? I feel like when you get a big Friday pump, you're going to get a major Saturday or Sunday dump. Maybe not a major dump, but at least, between 2 and 3%, up to 7%, maybe even more than that. We'll see. Because if you look, for example, I don't know, let's look at theta real fast here. And if you look, just look at that. That is not sustainable. That is super bullish. Don't get me wrong, that is insanely bullish. But the issue is that it could be a flat, unfortunately. But I don't think it is, right? So if I flip the chart upside down, you have an ABC. But this looks just too impulsive to me for a flat. So I don't think it's a flat. I've seen this structure before. I've seen this before. I'm trying to think where I've seen it so we can look at the fractal. But essentially, you see, we were talking about this the other day, a falling wedge. I don't know if it was theta or H bar, but basically both of them had a falling wedge. And the idea for a falling wedge is, you're getting squeezed in here, right? You break out, and you get basically to the halfway point almost immediately. So the target for the falling wedge is back up here. But it's not going to just shoot straight up. So I'm curious to see if we consolidate over here in the weekend. The best thing theta can do, let's look at the RSI. See, the RSI is already cooked on the 1 hour. It's cooked. So you have major bearish or hidden bearish divergence. Is that regular? Wait. But, okay, so if we look at the small time frames, it doesn't say, hey, we're finished yet. This could still keep pumping here. But I would just spread some caution if you're trading, right? If you're hodling, investing, it doesn't matter. You just buy the dips. So you can see very clearly what happened here. Look at this. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. And then we had an A, B, and then we had what appeared, look at this. This is where it was really challenging. it appeared that this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was your C. And that's why I entered the trade on my XRP, right? So I thought, okay, there's the bottom. So we started to swoop up, but we only went up in 3 waves. And then what happened? We took the low, right? And they do that on purpose. The market makers take the low because they know, like, for example, I got stopped out, right? And then once I was stopped out, I didn't realize it. I'm asleep. And then you wake up, the price is up here, and you have nothing to do with it. So it's definitely frustrating. That's why sometimes I don't use stop losses. Sometimes I'll use the stop loss like over here from this low instead of using this low. But I'm being very stingy and very picky, you know. So if I would have did that, it would have been a lot better of a choice. But the reason I'm explaining this is so that we can learn, like, hey, if I make mistakes on my own trades, I'm not going to, you know, most people who make mistakes on their trades are not going to tell you, especially on YouTube. But I like to because it helps us say, okay, what could we learn from the mistake? Well, if you look, again, this right here, let's zoom in a little bit. So what this was, I believe, was a flat right here, A, B, C. See, that was your fourth wave. So you had 1, 2, 3. So what happened is and it's very hard to know, but the fourth wave turned into a flat. And then that's when it took the low. And that was your fifth wave. So you had 1, 2, 3. That was your 4. Then you slammed down for 5. So basically you have A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in wave C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in wave A. 1, 2, 3 in wave B. Right? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So now this looks like a wave 1. It's a very powerful wave 1. Look at this wave 1. Now look at this wave 1. Look at the difference between the two waves. So if this wave 1 morphed into this wave, what will this wave 1 morph into? What do you think, guys? So yeah, it definitely looks good. But again, I took my profit. If I got in down here, guys, if I got in here like I should have gotten in, I would have not taken my profit. I would have taken a little bit off the table, but I wouldn't have closed the trade because I have a lot of wiggle room in here to deal with. But I don't know, you know, this is why I like, you know, explaining it like in this way because, you know, if I get in and we're already like halfway up there, right? And then let's say we pull all the way back, but then you just lost your profit. But I would rather secure my profit, wait for a 3-wave pullback, and then get back in. But here's the problem. What if it doesn't? What if it just keeps going? Well, you know, that's just the way it works, right? And that's why we have what? Investing. That's why we have our HODL. That's why we have our HODL bag. So for me, 90% of what I do is HODL. HODL, HODL, HODL. Invest, buy, HODL. Don't worry about the FUD. Ignore the haters. Ignore the noise. Think about the Federal Reserve dying, the dollar dying. Think about, you know, what is real money? What is sound money? Right? Those are the things that keep me going. Because we don't live in a people system. We live in a rigged system. So this looks to me like, and this is why we're all in crypto, you know? But to make a living off of it, it's very difficult to make a living off of it because you got to get in, you got to get out. And a lot of times you have to disconnect your psychology from your investing perspective, your investing psychology versus your trading psychology, because the investing psychology says a moon boy, right? We're a moon boy. There's nothing wrong with being a moon boy. We're all moon boys. If you're not in crypto, you're not a moon boy. I mean, if you invest in crypto, you are a moon boy because you believe the price is going to go up. Everyone in the stock market is a moon boy, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Now, the reason why it's characterized as bad is because you're left holding the bag, or we're in the middle of a major correction and you're still bullish. But moon boy is a definition of whatever you want it to be. But in my definition, it's a long-term holding position, right? Because I've been a moon boy ever since I got into crypto back in 2017. So what does that mean? That means, well, we've had massive 90% sell-offs between now and then, multiple bear markets. So it just depends on the timing. But anyway, I digress. So we have this inverse head and shoulders in here. So I would like to see it. I would like to see it get back up to the trend line up in here and see if we start to flag out a little bit. So something like that. I don't like it when it just shoots straight up. You know, I mean, it very well could. The problem is it's Friday, right? If it was Thursday, it would be a little bit different, or Wednesday for sure. But, you know, we have Saturday, Sunday coming up right, really, you know, tomorrow, right? So the way I'm going to play this is I'm just going to keep looking at the charts. I'm going to see if we have any three-way pullbacks. Let's look at some other charts here. Let's look at, so Ethereum is oh my God, dude. Ethereum's up 13%. Ethereum's definitely the leader for sure. So I'm gonna keep an eye on Ethereum, and to me, oh yeah, you can see that right there, right? You have an impulse, 3 down. Look at that, 3 up, 3 back down. I mean, you can't make that up, dude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 W, 3 X, 3 Y. Perfect. And then look at this. You had a 1 and then a 2, and now this looks like a 3, right? Or it could turn into a complex wave, right? But we'll talk about that in a minute. But we would see this continue a little bit, and then you get a 3, and then a 4, and then a 5, right? Or you could have 3 down. This could be 3 up, and we took the top, and it turns into a flat, and then it comes down in 3 or 5, and then you can either have a running flat. So A, B, C, it turns into a more complex wave, and then we go up, right? Because again, look what happened here, right? You had point A, you had point B, right? So, you know, obviously point B, it could have kept falling, but it really had nowhere to go. So now you're in point C, right? So yeah, I'm definitely frustrated about my performance on this wave, because it was a massive wave, and I'm glad I got out. Look at that. I'm so glad I got out. I did make money, so I can't complain, but damn, I would have made a lot of money, man. I mean, damn, if I would have just stayed in here, but it is what it is. So you know, I should have realized the Fed was speaking. I totally forgot about it. But what I want to see from XRP is this, to me, is a little challenging. Let's look closer here. Yeah, see the way, okay, so we had a 1 2 1 2. We popped up. This was the meat and potatoes of the jump, right? And all of this is just correction. It's correcting up, right? It's correcting up. So what this could be is it could turn into a running flat. So you could see the 3 waves right there. So you have a move down, that's 1. You have 1 2 3 up, that's 2. So if this comes down like it's doing right now, quite aggressively, hopefully it comes down here, that would be a good buy. I would then enter the trade, because now I have an impulse and I have a 3-wave correction here. So, but it might not be easy. It might be like, it might come back up here and then take the top again, and then come down, and then start to work its way down, right? So it could be a little challenging for sure. So let's look at Bitcoin then. Where's Bitcoin? Why can't I just, there we go. Okay, so Bitcoin, yeah, there you go. That looks more like it. That's more like a flat right there. Let me put up XRP. Yeah, see, that was the wave here. Boom. Actually, okay, so that was the wave here, wave there, and then it started correcting up. That's when it started correcting down. Then it hits the high. Then it hits the high. So I think Bitcoin's more clear, right? Because it has that shape to it. it has the shape I'm looking for. So if we look here, you know, I mean, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's probably what's happening here. So you could see we had 3 waves down, and then we had, or you can, yeah, so this looks like 5. You could say 5. So, okay, there you go. That's your 5th wave right there. It could be. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're done. That could be the case. So then, if that, so that's an idea. So, so let's just run through it. So the first idea would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then from there, you would get A, B, C. So that would be 1, that would be 2, and then we keep going. And we could have a 1618 extension over the weekend, you know. So the other idea is that this is an ABC. It's a flat in here. And you could say, well, wait a minute, we have 5 waves. How could that be? Well, it could be a flat, right? This could be 3 down, and this could be A, B, C, or W, X, Y, right? 3 up, and then you would get 3 down, and then something like that. So that would be nice to see. But if we just keep pumping and setting back and pumping and setting back, that's what makes it challenging, because it doesn't really let you get in so nicely, right? And this, we have to remember, this was a news-driven event, which means when anytime, especially on the weekends, you get a big pump. Like, for example, when the SEC lawsuit came out, what happened? XRP exploded, but it was a news event. After that, it just completely dumped and fizzled out. So I'm not saying it's going to fizzle out. I'm just saying we have to see how it corrects, because I don't think it's quite ready. So let's look. So this is the main time frame. Let's look at this, right? So we have an impulse. We have a 3-wave pullback. We have another move up. We have another 3-wave pullback. So this right here is the beginnings of another move up. But if you notice, look what happens when you shoot up so fast. So you have this big move down. You didn't create a base. You didn't get away from the scene of the crime, because that's what you want to do. You want to get away from that price, and then you can move up. Because anytime you slam down and slam up, this would be a bad example, but for example, like right in here, you can get a correction, right? So let me use the arrow here. Come on now. So you could see big move out, down, and then immediately shoot up. See this? Big move down, and then immediately shoot up. So if I just take that, I mean, just to get a visual on it, you know, something like that. Actually, it doesn't look bad at all, right? So you could get a little bit higher, but then this is where you would want to wait for, and it's really hard. You know, you're watching the price move up, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? Obviously, if you don't want to chase it, but then again, you don't want to get left behind. So, but I wouldn't be worried about getting left behind, because we have plenty of time. We have plenty of time. You know, so, you know, crypto moves really fast, but then it does give you opportunities. So I think a good opportunity is going to be Sunday, Monday. I think that will be a good opportunity just based off what we've seen. Because, you know, it's coming down, it's coming down, comes up, comes down, comes up, comes down. What does that do? It conditions people's complacency, because you get complacent. And, okay, it's just going to keep doing that. It's going to keep doing that. It's going to keep doing that. It's going to keep doing. No, it's not going to keep doing that. It's going to stop doing that, and it's going to take it all back. You just don't know when and how and what it's going to look like. But in hindsight, right, you know, obviously the Fed and all that. So you could see, I would think that this is going to come up a little bit. If we take the top, then I don't really like it anymore. I'd rather see it come down. I'd want to see it come down so that it sets us up for a bigger move, right? Let's zoom out. So let's go to the weekly now. So look at the weekly. The weekly looks great. And this is what we talked about too, is a liquidity grab. You could see we're building a base in here. This came all the way down. It just like these 2 weeks, and it had that liquidity grab. Now you have what that did is it created a bull hammer candle. So this is a bullish hammer candle. So next week, when that weekly candle opens, which is Sunday, I expect that some of this wick gets tested, right? So if you cut it in half, maybe right there, the following week could come all the way down, whoops, and let's say the candle opens right there, we pull back, there's your wick, right? And then and then that's how it ends next week. So something like that, right? Where that wick comes in and tests some of this wick. I don't know how aggressive that would look, but that's usually the case. I mean, you can see it here, 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 here. Every single weekly candle has a wick at the bottom of it. What that means is after the candle closes, it sells off. Look at wick, 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 wick. All of them. Every single one of them. I mean, except for this one. This one barely had a little tiny wick, but you can still see it. What that means is, again, we should expect when the candle closes and when the new candle opens, it coming down to test a lower price, right? So for SHIB, for THETA, for AVAX, for ICP, again, everything's the same. Looking at it like a Wyckoff, I'm expecting it to break out and get back up to here. Very simple, and that could happen very fast. That could happen soon because I like the way it's starting to flatten out in here. Kind of like a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout, right? It's kind of giving us that look to it. I like how it's getting nice and tight in here, right? So it's getting ready. It looks like it's getting ready to launch. All right. So the weekly candle looks amazing. It's got a bullish, I mean, look at it. It's got a bullish hammer. So looks great. So smaller time frames, I mean, it's just like the 3-day chart doesn't look, because look, it came down, doesn't look so good. It just popped right back up. So you need to create a base. You need something like this. You need something like this, right? This is perfect. So if it's going to do it up here, then it has to be like this, and that could be your base, right? Let's zoom in a little bit more. But yeah, the 8-hour chart, I mean, and here's the other thing, right? So if this is a move up and this is like an A, this could be a B wave, just like this, and then come down for C and then go up. And that could be your Wyckoff spring, right? So we don't know if this is the real deal, right? So if, for example, if this pops up, which I believe it will, it's going to pop up, right? But then the problem is now you have a 3-wave move. So we don't know if it's going to break out from there or if it's going to give us 3 down, something like this, and then go. So again, it's the same thing from yesterday, or not yesterday, the last video, is do we break out now or do we break out like a little bit later like this? So we'll see. I think we have a good shot at breaking out now just because of Ethereum. It's just, it's definitely a coin that got away from me. That's for damn sure. I would have totally played it differently back over here. I did make money on Ethereum, but when you get out, you have to get back in, and that's something I didn't do. But it's okay. I feel like, you know, Ethereum just is just too much for me now. So I have to let it play. Now I'm talking about for an investing. Now for trades I can get in easily. And just kind of scalp it, because I think Ethereum is finished, right? You have 3 down, you have 3 up, you have 3 down. So boom, boom, boom. You have a 3-wave move. Impulse, 3-wave move, impulse. You're right at the verge of a major breakout. So is the S&P 500. Right? It's at all-time highs, right? Same thing with THETA. Well, not the same thing with THETA, but the same thing in terms of it being bullish. I would watch this trend line here. It's not really a good trend line. So yeah, the same thing, like I'm just trying to think, is this going to turn into a B wave? And then we get C, and then we go A, B, C, right? And then go. That would make a total lot of sense to me. Or is it going to be a tricky little son of a gun and just kind of creep, break, and then it just happens so quick? And it's like, whoa, how did that happen? So that's what we're faced with, right? So, but either way, I'm expecting it to kind of go up a little bit here. Where is the other theta chart? There we go. Yeah, you can see it shoots up and it's starting to round out in here. So I don't like that wave structure at all, because it's just so hard to read. I don't get it. But if it does go up, it probably doesn't have a lot more to go. So that's basically it. I wish. Oh yeah. So this is the fractal. We were just talking about it, right? Oh my God, look, right here. Check it out. I think this was the thumbnail of last week's video. Look, this was perfect. Look at that. So you have a move up. You had this flat right there. You have a flat, expanded flat, same thing, right? And then you have a little roundabout, right? A little roundabout, and then look what XRP did. It blasted off. So what did H bar do? It also is blasting off. So H bar is kind of like right in here. Let's look again at the chart. There's my son. The chart is actually, yeah, it's actually right here. So you could see this is the wave that came down, and then it pops up about halfway. It pops up halfway. Okay, so remember that. So if we go back and look at this, well, would you look at that? It popped up about halfway. So we're right on track. So what I think is going to happen here is we're going to have to consolidate a little bit over the weekend, right? And then once that's done, we're going to get a massive firing to the upside, just like we talked about in the fractal, right? Because I figured, you have 3 waves down, right? And you have this move up, and you think, oh, it's going to break down. But what it's actually doing is it's creating a 3-wave move up. And that's why these B waves are so challenging for a lot of people, because the first bounce, you think, okay, that's going to be B, that's going to be C. But a lot of times the B turns into a complex wave, meaning it has to go up, it has to come down, and then it goes up, and that's your B, right? So it teases breaking the low. Everybody gets sketched out right in here because, look, you're right at support, so you get scared, right? So, and you can also see the descending triangle working out in here. So this could be a descending triangle, right? If we don't break above, and remember, that's what XRP turned out to be. It was a descending triangle, but then it broke out, right? So we need desperately to break out of here. So that's that. There you go. So Chainlink is another one that pissed me off. Oh man, I'm on a roll. Well, I made a lot of money on Chainlink, but what I did wrong was, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I just looked at it like this. Look at bearish divergence. Look at that bearish divergence. But what I failed to understand is that yes, it's giving me bearish divergence, but the way it's working, it's bottlenecking. It's bottlenecking in here. So this looks like a reverse flag, and it looks like it could go parabolic. So I think it is going to go parabolic, Chainlink, because the way it looks, the way it's setting up, you know, it looks very bullish. So, but as a trader, you know, I have to be cautious here. It still looks very, very bullish. I might even, let's see. Oh, yeah. Look at the three-way pullback right there. Boom. Look at that. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, three-way pullback. This could be 3 and then 3, and then we get another hit. But Chainlink looks pretty good. So yeah, we got a plenty of green today. I mean, you could see all of this green. I mean, Ethereum is the definite winner. 13%. Wow, that's intense. So let's take a look at ADA. ADA up here. Because I want it towards the top, because I'm going to be looking at that one a little more closer. Yeah, same kind of thing here. As far as the small time frames, you know, you get that initial pump and then it kind of like corrects up. Sometimes you get that flat. So if we get that flat, that'll be good. So yeah, I mean, everything, again, we're making higher highs, higher lows, right? We had a double bottom, right? We shot up. This is where H bar is, by the way. We shot up, right? And now we kind of, we're making higher highs, higher lows. You know, the question is though, like, is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Is it done? And then we need a little bit of a bigger move to go up? Or is this part of an extension where we have like a 1, 2, 1, 2, we have another pump, and then we have this flag right in here, and that flag's gonna bust us out? Very well could be the case, because let's not forget where we are on the weekly. It's not my favorite chart for the weekly chart, but you know, I just don't like how it's channeling up. It just looks like it could do that, but I can also see it as a 1, 2, 1, 2. So you know, we broke the downward resistance line. Look at that. There we go, right there. So last week we broke out. And then this week, look at what we did. We came all the way down and we retested it as support. So everything looks pretty good. Algorand looks deadly. I think Algorand's gonna do very well. I think it's gonna do very well. I just like the way, and it's not so overbought like Link and some of the other ones, where like Ethereum and Chainlink, I mean, dude, I would not buy a spot position in those right now. I mean, maybe Link, but not Ethereum. But anyways, Algorand looks good. Algorand looks condensed. It looks like it could have more explosive power. So even Algorand, it's kind of like, you know, you have these reverse flags, and they're very challenging, and I don't really like them a lot, but if I flipped it upside down, that looks bad. That looks like it could keep coming down. So you do have divergence, but so what would it take for me to enter a trade? Well, I would want this to be some kind of flat. I would want it to come down and give me that shape. But there could be micro flats in here, like this. You have an impulse, and then you have an A, B, C. There's your flat right there. So you have an impulse, you have an A, B, C. Impulse, A, B, C. So this could be another impulse, and then another A, B, C. And then what that does is it creates these flats within flats, you know. I just don't like how it's Friday. And, Saturday we could get a pump, but I would probably be out by Sunday. Just because we know how it is, right? We know how it is after a news event on a Friday, it gets iffy. But looking at the larger time frames, this looks like it has to come up more. It has to get a little bit higher here. So CRV, that was another, oh my God, dude. CRV, I went short here. I got out, and then it made this double bottom. Look at that. So look at that three-way pullback. Perfect. So everything looks great for next week. So the big juicy days that I'm looking forward to is next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if we're not bullish, if we're not having continuations, then, this is just a trap. So speaking of traps, a lot of times what happens is it'll condense in here. It'll pop the high. Oh, we're breaking out. And then what happens is it comes all the way down, and then there's your flat. So it's tough. It's a tough one. It's not easy. It's challenging. But at the end of the day, when you zoom out, it becomes less challenging. It becomes almost risky if you don't invest, right? Remember, there's nothing I say here is financial advice. I could be totally dead wrong. But for the larger time frames, there's no question in my mind where we're going. It's just, how do we get there? That's the challenge. Yeah, look how bullish this is. I mean, we have this massive 1 year plus 3-wave pullback. We're consolidating. We're building a base. We're doing everything we need to do. We have liquidity grabs. We have bullish divergence. We have Bitcoin at all-time highs. We have the S&P. We have the dollar down. We have interest rates up. So everything is getting confluenced. We have XRP at all-time highs. So everything's telling me we should be going up. The hard part is navigating the waters on the smaller time frames for these, because if we're trending, it's a little different. But when you pop the high, come back down, when there's a lot of volatility like that, it kind of muddies the waters a little bit. So it's really not too bad. But I don't think that when this wave came down, I don't think we had enough of a base like this. For example, we came down, we shot up, but then we created a base. So if it was down here creating a base, and then we had that pump, then I would be like, yeah, let's continue. But it has me a little bit iffy on it. So that's why you got to be patient. You got to wait. And that could be hard, especially when you're in the right you're in the right frame of mind when you're speaking in bullish terms, when you know where it's ultimately going to go, but you have to put that aside and think, okay, well, let's just focus, because sometimes the larger time frames and the bullishness of you knowing it's going to go up can a lot of times interfere with the smaller time frame moves, right? Because we could come, like for example, if you take a fib, start it from down here, okay, and if you look at this, XRP shot up off the low all the way up. It shot up 10% in a very short period of time. So what I'm saying here is, it could literally come way back down here, right? It could have a 618 retrace, and it can come back to 290. So think of the psychology about that. We lowered the rate. We're going to lower the rates. Fed Powell gave the impression, right? And then we're at $3.06. But then we have to come all the way back below $3 and then come down to $2.90. It would just be psychologically defeating for a lot of people, because I guarantee a lot of people FOMO'd in here. So how do the market makers, based off a news event, how do they collect liquidity on the way down? Right? So, not saying it's going down, but, you know, we can have 3 and then 3 and then 5. And then we can slam and go up. And if we got that, it would actually be very good. Because why? Because you would get more away from the scene of the crime. You would get more away from this wave here. Look how big this wave is compared to what we're doing, right? So I'll just put that line right there. Or actually, yeah, so this could be like a big 3-way move down. And that would be actually what I would like to see, right? A 3-way move down just like that. Because what that does is it resets everything, right? It's not so heated. It's not like a straight line up. Just like this. Like, you see how it came up, came back down? Give us something like that to kind of reset everything. So where is, yeah, right there. Oh, I didn't want all that, but let me see. See, this one shot up too quick. That's why I don't really trust it a lot. Something like that. So, you know, it gives me impressions like if you take a mental screenshot of this right here. Take a mental screenshot. Now look at this. So if you go back over here, see what happened? You had this flat. It took the low just like it did this time. And look what happened. It shot straight up. It shot straight up. Everybody got bullish. But look what happened, guys. It drizzled, 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 drizzled all the way down. And it crushed the low. And this, what this was Xi Jinping, the president of China, publicly stating that blockchain technology is good. He said, oh yeah, it's good. That's all he said. He said it's great. And that's what happened. The market pumped. So this was also a news event. Right? So let me go to back to XRP. And then let's go to the smaller time frames. And let's just look at it side by side. Here. So it's kind of different. Right? You kind of played around in here. Right? But then you have this, which is definitely different, which is more like this. And this, yeah. No, it's not right. Yeah, so it would be like boom and boom, right? So that's what we have to worry about, right? This was a flat right here. Nobody thought it was because you had 3 and 3, and then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you had an impulse, and then you had a 3-way pullback, and then we shot up, but then we didn't flag out. What happened is we just slammed down. So if this slams down like that, then I would expect something like that. So, but it could pump more though. It could pump a little bit more and still do that. So we'll see how that works. So anyways, anything else going on? Oh my God, look at Filecoin, just massive pump off the low. It just feels very trappy right here. So that's why I'm making this video. I just want to be cautious. But again, man, it's a tough one because this, I just don't like how, again, it's on a Friday, which is very suspicious. And then also it's a news event. And then plus we're right next to the weekend. So those 3 things had me questioning. And then not only that, but the way it shot up was very interesting, very fast, right? Not very organic. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned. that we could see some traps in here. But if you look at it like this, I mean, oh my God, it looks insanely bullish. What I want to see though, guys, I want to see a little bit of a little something. Give me a little something, a little bit of a pullback like that. Give me something like that, right? So, because this is not sustainable. You're starting to flip. You could see like green, red, green, red. That's a sign. That's a topping sign potential. XDC already healed over. Wow, this could be an opportunity here. XTC just kaput. Like it didn't even, this could be a B wave right in here. What's Monero doing? Oh, Monero looks interesting. Dude, Monero, guys. This is what I see. This is interesting to me because yeah, you had this rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. You went sideways. This is all a 7-year base. You got a cup, you got a handle, you got a W, you got Wyckoff, you got accumulation in here, and you have 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You're 1-2ing. This is a 3-way pullback here, and you're retesting the lows. So this could just keep flying up, dude. So if we go to the smaller time frames, you can see impulse, 3-wave pullback, and then you have 1 2 3 4 5, right? So it looks good. And then what I like about it is this impulse, but then what I like even more about it is the pullback. Kind of. Let me look at it closer. Yeah. The pullback looks, so it's okay. So we have 1 2 3 4 5, and then we have 3 down. So this right here could be 3 up, and then we would get maybe 3 down later or 5, and then it turns into something like that. So let me zoom out so we have a better impression of what it could look like. So if I take just a little polyline here, go boom, up, and then down, and then up. So that would be how I would look at it. Now, the alternative to this would just be this. Right there. So either A, B, C, then pump, or we pump now. I would prefer the ABC just to have no questions asked, Yeah, the issue, I don't think this is going to be sustainable because the issue is, you pop up, you come down. You pop up, you come down. You pop up, you come down. So what it's doing is it's kind of, it's getting squeezed in here. So I wouldn't get too excited just yet, especially on these kind of altcoins. Now for XRP, for Ethereum, for some of the other ones, I think, it could be interesting. I gotta charge my phone before it dies. So anything else that's sticking out? I know the dollar probably took a hit because of that. I didn't even look at it. The Dow's up. Total 2. I mean, everything's up massively. I mean, dude. And I was looking at it last night. I was looking at it last night, and I did not pull the trigger on it. I wish I did for my trade, because that would have been a nice play right there. But we're back at 307. If this takes the high, then we could have obviously another leg. But if it doesn't, then we could get that flat in here. So what's Bitcoin doing? If we go to Bitcoin real quick. Just give me a Bitcoin chart. There we go. Okay, you can see it's starting to flatten out a little bit. So there could be a running flat, but I don't know. I'd like it a little to come down a little bit more. But anyway, it's all going to change by the time you watch this video. It's going to be completely different. But wow, look at Ethereum Classic. It's up almost 20%. Oh, man. I was looking at, you know, I've charted this thing and I've compared it to Dogecoin. Right? This is Dogecoin right here. So if you look, let's look at them side by side. So let's type in Doge. Look at this. It doesn't matter if it's the market cap or whatever. Let's go up to the 10-day chart so I can fit the son of a gun in there. No, that's not right. Nope, that's not right. Okay, so I'm gonna need Doge, USD. Oh, come on. Get out of the way. There we go. Crypto. There we go. This is what I want. So right here is right here, guys. It's the same damn chart. And that was before it blasted off. This was the biggest move, one of the biggest moves in crypto that really put it on the map. That was the infamous Dogecoin pump, the massive pump that got everybody talking, okay? So that could potentially happen with Ethereum Classic because it's the same damn thing. I mean, look at it. It looks literally the same. So, yeah, you can see like all of this. Like, look at this right here. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Boom, boom. Right? You got a big move up, big move up. Look at this. 3-wave pullback. Look at this. 3-wave pullback. Look at that. You poke the low. You poke the low. Look at that. And then look at this. Right here, guys. You're right there. So what do you think's going to happen? Well, we're probably going to get a pump. It could pump up like this, but then it's going to come all the way back, and then it could shoot up. So that could be a reality, guys. A big one. So if that's the case, where did Dogecoin go? Well, I already know where it went. It went to the 2.272 on log scale because I've compared it to XRP. But if we take and we do the same analysis and we hit the 2.272, I don't think it's going to do it, but if it did, that's $389. Is this on log scale? Let me make sure. Oh, no, it's not on log scale. Oh, okay. So that's different. So if it hit the 2.272, guys, that's $5,000 Ethereum Classic. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. Ethereum Classic's at $25. Imagine it going to $5,000. That's the equivalent of what Dogecoin did. Right? That's what Dogecoin did. It went from $25 to $5,000. The equivalent in percentage terms. So what is that in percentage terms, just for fun? I don't buy Ethereum Classic just because I'm doing this. That's 10,000 up to 20,000%. That's insane. If you're going to buy it, just be aware that it already went up 18% today. It went up, guys, it went up 18%. Okay, that's a lot. So just be careful. I mean, look at that. There's major pumps in here. So, if we zoom in on Ethereum Classic, it still looks okay, right? But it's, you have a 3-wave move now, right? So is this going to be A? Is this going to be B? And then we're going to get C and then go? Or is this going to flag out bullishly and then we go? See, that's what we have to, that's the issue, right? Now, I would expect us to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first. So I would expect another wave up before that topic comes in because it could be a flat, It's already going to be a flat if it's up at 90% here. So what about Litecoin? Litecoin's also going to be an interesting one because it could be on the verge of a bigger breakout here. You can see all of this resistance in here. You know, when you break out of such a major long resistance, it's going to be explosive, especially this. I mean, that's a long time right there. Now, if you go to Ethereum Classic, right, look how long this is. I mean, look how long we've been basing out in here, right? This has been since 22. So, like, what, 3 years, essentially. So this is a lot of resistance, a lot of support. So if that son of a gun breaks out, it's going to be monumental because of how big it was. So yeah, things happen really slow, things take forever, and then all of a sudden it just freaking instantly, right? So I'm I'm anticipating higher prices, but I want to see it correct bullishly. You know, look at this flat right here. You had a move down, you had 3 waves up that took the top, and then you came down in 5. That was an expanded flat. You shot up, so now you're kind of just stuck right in here. You're in the middle. So you can start to see it's kind of the momentum slowing down. I don't think we're going to get any big moves today unless it happens later in the evening after the close. Other than that, I'm just kind of, you know, there's a lot of them that I would like to own, that I would like to get into positions. So, yeah, it just made my job a lot harder. That's all it did. So I'm just gonna have to, because if I would have had a good position, I wouldn't have to think about it. I wouldn't have to worry about it. I wouldn't have to think about it. But now I have to worry about getting back in. Look at Filecoin. It looks like it's gonna break. So Filecoin on the small time frame. Yeah, so you could see, is this corrective? Is this gonna be, you know, like that? You know, it's the power of 3, right? So that's just how it is. So I got a lot of work to do, and I wouldn't have all this work to do if I would have done it, if I would have got in last night. Because look, now it's starting to pump again. Do you see what happened here? So look, it comes up here, it's kind of consolidating, it's grinding, and it can't do it, and then it just gets a big move up. That's what it kind of appears to be. This looks like an ascending triangle. So anyways, guys, be safe out there, and let's see what happens. Look at CFX. You know, you came up, you popped the high, and then you pulled back. That was a flat, and then it created a little bit of a base, which is good. So I would expect it to break out, but I'm not sure if this is going to be an ABC first. So other than that, ICP, I'll look at Theta Fuel. Yeah, see, ICP is total Wyckoff in here, it looks like. You could see this could be a B wave in here. So, okay. Yeah, so we you know, we didn't miss it in terms of the big move. Not even close. I mean, you're going to see a bigger move yet. Retail's not even completely in yet. But once this thing does break, I think it's going to be big. So let's look at, you know, Solana looks good too. Kind of like a rising wedge though. But look at the flat. You had a big ABC. And it looks like a 1-2. It looks like it's revving up. So let's see how it plays in here. This could be a three-way move down, or if this is 3, we should break out. I think it's going to push higher. So if we look at T fuel, it looks great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, I think that this isn't the right chart, but you know, you got that double bottom, you got you know, the primary move, so you have this impulse. It looks, you know, you're flagging out in here. So I want to see it break that flag. ADA just looks like it shot up too close to the scene of the crime. I just think it's going to fizzle out. I don't, on this time frame. Yeah, okay, so the 3-day chart looks a lot better. Yeah, if this can just do that, and then I would be more inclined to see that. CRV looks great. But, damn. Happened way too fast. And it sucks being on the West Coast because I wake up after everyone's already awake and the moves already happened. You know, if I lived in New York, I would never live there. But if I lived there, I could have had a chance. But yeah, you could start to see the dojis in here now. So I would be cautious. I would be cautious in here. You know, the news is already out, right? I mean, the reason this pumped is because of the Fed. So, anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.